Good morning. Today we are at the Fade and Shave over on Bethlehem South Side, and I'm speaking with Will Soto, who is the proprietor of this really cool barbershop. Hi, Will. Thanks for allowing us to come into your barbershop, and it's really great being here because my grandfather used to have a barbershop too. So yeah, just sitting in these chairs and being here, getting a little sentimental. So this is a series about small businesses in Bethlehem, and not only how they were impacted by the pandemic, but I think more importantly, for people who, and for students too, who are thinking about going into certain professions or who have no idea what they want to do, just to kind of open up their eyes to all the little things that they may not think of. So how did you decide to become a barber? Was it something that you thought of since you were a little boy, or did you go into something else and then become inspired differently?
Yeah, well, at one point in time, I think the way I ended up becoming a barber was my grandmother. So when we were young, my brother and I, we lived with my grandmother. She pretty much raised both of us. And during that time, it was hard for us to get haircuts. So one day I told my grandma, I was like, I'll cut her own hair. And she was like, oh yeah, I'll buy you a pair of clippers. And from that day on, I just was fascinated with it. Like, we would cut each other's hair. Of course, the first haircut.
How old were you?
Oh, around that time I was probably about 15.
Okay.
You know, right around there, 14, 15. And she was like, I'll buy you a pair of clippers. I didn't believe her. A week or two went by, a pair of clippers were on my bed at home. And she was like, you want a haircut? Cut your hair. So I went to the bathroom, I shaved it all off. I did a horrible job. It looked bad. I got my brother, did the same thing to him. We both looked bad. We got laughed at everywhere, but we kept doing it. I kept doing it. And as time went on, it wasn't the first choice that I had. Like as I got older, I wanted to do other things, but the passion is still there. I started cutting friends' hair. I started going from house to house. I wasn't licensed at the time. I didn't really know the profession at the time. And then a friend of mine reached out to me and was like, I know an old barber that is willing to take on an apprentice. Are you willing to go? So I said, yeah, why not? I was like, let's do it. So I took the drive from here to Philly on a regular basis. And, he passed away, so he's no longer with us. But he had a barbershop for over 55 years. And I learned from him. I learned the right way to do things. And then I got my license early. I went from shop to shop. I learned more from other barbers. I worked in a salon for a few years. I learned from her. So I kind of try to get the aspects of all areas of the hair, as far as like stylists, barbering. But I always go back to my roots. Traditional way of doing barbering, I feel is the best way.
I didn't realize that you could take that kind of route, because when I think about a person going into like the salon or the barber business, I always think about vocation protect schools.
Yes.
Or beauty schools, as they used to call it back in the 80s. And my grandfather, I think he went to New York, was it called the Bowery?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
He was there, so this is a little bit different, so you can get
Yeah,
your certification by apprenticing.
Apprenticing, yes. One of my barbers that works for me right now, he apprenticed through me. He's been with me now almost 6 years. He's gotten his license through me. Now, generally what happens is, if the barber is a barber manager, you're able to license one barber per year. If you're a teacher, you can license up to a few barbers per year. There are barber schools. There's a few here in the Lehigh Valley. There's some in Lansdale. There's one in Lancaster, one in Philadelphia, and I believe there's one in Reading also. So there's a lot of different barber schools in that. Honestly, I feel going to barber schools is the best way to go. But if you want to learn that traditional way of barbering and you want that hands-on, apprenticing is the best way to go, because you're getting that real world experience as opposed to just reading it in a book and then you get out there in the real world and it's like, wait a minute, that's not what the book said, because there's different things. Like I tell everybody, there's more than one way to cut hair. So if you don't have that experience, or you haven't been around a barber that experience, you're not going to grow as much. So real world is the best way to go.
Yeah. you told us a little bit about the history, you told us about the barber, was it a backsplash or no? Back bar, okay. What sets you apart from other barbershops, maybe in terms of services?
Yes, well, one of the services that we're very well known for is our hot towel shaves. We do a lot of the traditional style of shaves. So,
It's a hot towel shave, is there a history to that?
yes, so basically the hot towel shave is where you open up the pores. And a lot of barbers now, especially in barber school, they don't teach you the correct and traditional way of doing it.
How old
So,
is that? Like, how old?
that dates all the way back to the Egyptians. So barbering it's a very long history of barbering. So if you ever looked up the history of barbering goes all the way back, like I said, to the Egyptians, all the way back to the Romans. It has evolved over the years, of course, but there was always a barber. People always need haircuts. Even back then, you needed to look nice. So at the end of the day, because of barbering, you have now dentists, you have doctors, you have surgeons, and that's the reason why you have the red and the blue and the white on the barber pole.
I know about the history of the barber pole, the bloodletting?
One was bloodletting, cupping, bleaching, and then you have white is for your sanitary, and which is gauze.
The bandages.
Yep, your gauze. And then the blue was added later on. Originally it was just white and red.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
So,
Let's see. Why do you think your profession is important to a community? Maybe you answered that already.
I did. I think part of the reason a barbershop, traditionally a barbershop is a place that young men went to become men. So basically you were around men that behave in a well-mannered way. And you learn that from being in the barbershop. If you wanted to know where jobs were, it was the barbershop. You know, before we had cell phones, internet, and everything else, you wanted to know what was going on in the community, the barbershop was the place to go. You went down to the barbershop early in the morning, you had your older gentleman in there talking about your politics, talking about what's going on in the community, who's hiring, who's firing, what jobs have opened up, what opportunities there are. What you have your boys clubs that would advertise in there. You got, even to this day, you know, a lot of the local football teams, like the little league teams and that, they'll come to the barbershop and they'll ask to put up flyers and that, so that way kids can sign up. And that's where you want to go. If you want to know what's going on as far as like where the food drives were, where churches were doing what, it's the barbershop.
Yeah.
So the barbershop was that hub. It was that place where you wanted to find all the information that was necessary. And it really still hasn't changed. It's still pretty much the same thing.
I don't have sons, I have two daughters, and I never thought of it in terms of a place for males to go. And I think that's so important because in our culture, we don't really have a lot of places like for men to go,
I get where you're going with this.
in a community sense. And I always think about the stories of in Australia with the indigenous Aborigines and how they have a walkabout that the young men would do when they were 12. But just coming to some place like this where they do have that sense of camaraderie and community.
Yes. And it's good because it's like I said earlier, the kids and the men and everybody, you just learn from the older gentlemen, just how to behave, how to act, how to represent yourself.
Where else are you gonna get that?
Exactly. And then another thing too is, you know, obviously women have a lot of places to go. You got your salons, your nail salons and everything. For men, this is their style. Like they come inside, this is where you get to relax, de-stress.
I want to listen to your jazz on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it's a relaxing feel. You know, we don't really get to pamper ourselves as much, and that's the reason why we do what we do here at the Fade and Shade. We just want to give you that moment of zen. Come in, relax, get a hot towel shake. You got the jazz on in the background, no loud noises, just very relaxing. And then you go about your day. Just set your day up on that right note, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a nice feeling, and that's part of the reason why I keep the tradition going and the way I set the shop to be. Like there's a lot of different barbershops and a lot of them, you know, I kind of feel like some are cookie cutter where they're just based off of other shops. I try to set ourselves apart. We have that 1950s feel, but it's still a little modern twist. And you know, we just want to give people that old school feel. We want gentlemen that come in, whether you're 90 years old, or you're 20 years old, or 18 years old, I want you to come in and feel like you're at home and feel like family when you come inside our doors. So that's what sets us apart.
I think you explain your philosophy so well. And yeah, I do. Do you have any words of encouragement? Well, I should say, before we get to that, what are some of the challenges to owning a small business like this?
Well, one of the challenges is keeping the doors open, honestly. It's hard when you're a small business and you're in a small town like we are, South Bethlehem, you know, getting the word out, advertising, just keeping new people, fresh faces coming in the door is very hard at the moment. And especially, you know, like dealing with the COVID-19 was a huge hit to us, and I'm sure plenty of other businesses. I'm just happy to still be here after everything was said and done, we turned green again. And I think some of the tough challenges is just getting support from your local government and just helping you move forward and just doing different things. You know, I feel like I think that there should be more coverage on like the area I'm in right now, where we're not really considered altogether a business district, even though we are. So we don't get as much, how can I say, foot traffic, exactly. Exactly. So we're kind of like, I feel like we're like a hidden gem. Like nobody really knows.
You really are. I feel so fortunate to have just like picked you out of the. It's wonderful.
You know, it's ironic because we get people that come in and they're like, well, we've been here 17 years. And they're like, I never knew you were here. But we do advertise. Like, don't get me wrong, I advertise like crazy. I think a huge portion of my revenue that comes in goes back out into advertising, just so we can get people to come in. We don't just advertise locally. We advertise at a wide distance. So we cover a lot of New Jersey, Philly area, past Harrisburg. Because I feel like even if you're not from this area and you're traveling through Bethlehem, we got the casino, so people are going to come into town. I want you to know that we're here. We exist.
You're the destination spot.
That's it. Thank you.
Any words of encouragement to young people thinking about going into your profession?
Yes. I think what young people need to do is, you know, a lot of people want to go to college and everything, and with the situation and everything that's going on right now in this day and time, understand that becoming a barber is one of the professions that you can go to school for a year, come out and make close to $100,000 a year as soon as you come out of school. Now, that's not a guarantee, but I think the lowest amount you would probably make the first year as a barber, and especially if you have the driving and good customer service, I believe that you would be able to make anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 the first year out, which is not bad. You know, you can go to school for 4 years and still make around the same amount of money and kind of be in debt, or take this profession. You know, it's a trade. It's not a dying trade. It's an industry that is growing again. I would say after the past 5 years and going to a lot of the trade shows and everything for barbering, the industry has taken a huge step forward. And there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of stylists that are becoming barbers, barbers becoming stylists. It's becoming one, and it's a huge industry. I mean, like, there's people out there that they've grown a lot where they've actually earned millions of dollars in this industry, you know? So
I never would have thought that. My grandfather's prices were $225.
wow. Yeah, I actually have a whole price list in the back from an old barber, yes.
From back in the 80s, and my grandfather was also known for giving out maybe little cups of ouzo to his customers, so they would line up.
And that's the thing, and the young people out nowadays, just be open to taking on a trade. It's a lifetime trade. Whether you don't become a barber for life, it's always something that you can fall back on. If you go on hard times, say you get in the industry and
there's a pandemic and there's a quarantine. Everybody wants their haircut.
They still want their haircut.
It's the most essential thing everybody gets.
Unfortunately,
My
wife too. My wife was waiting to see her hairstylist. And that's the thing, even though we weren't considered essential, I still think it's essential because at the end of the day, even our government officials, even Wolf, He needs a haircut. You know, if you're standing in front of the camera, you still need to look good.
And it's such a small thing, but just like you were saying, that time of the 10 minutes or 15 minutes for the hot shave or the haircut, just that personal time where you can relax.
Exactly.
It does so much for your soul and for your emotional well-being.
It's so relaxing. It's
so
just like,
relaxing.
you know, we're on the go. Right now, everything is I gotta be here, I got this, you know, this.
Right.
Exactly.
Very
You know,
fast-paced way of life.
Exactly.
And just taking the time to just
dial it back for a minute, relax.
Good for your health.
Yeah, exactly. In a nice environment where you just feel comfortable. And it's great. You know, you relax the chair back, put the hot towel on them, facial massager, jazz music going. It's just relaxing. I've had guys fall asleep in the chair. I'm shaking them, they're snoring. I wake them up after they're done. They're like, well, I'm done already? I'm like, yeah, you're finished, man.
Get out of here.
So, you know, it's a good feeling, and I love it, you know. I love making people feel good, you know. I want you to leave with a sense that you've left this business and you feel like you're brand new. You're not feeling the same when you came in. When you came in, you might have the world on your shoulders. I want you to leave like that world was left in my chair and you kept it going. So, you know, that's the feeling I want to give people.
Oh, that's such a wonderful way to end the interview, too.